To transform your celebrity into a portrait in the style of Fiona Fernandes, make sure you've got images of her work to refer to and notice the simplicity that you need to gain with your celebrity or person of interest, someone who has had a positive impact on your life over the last 18 months. So you need a nice sharp pencil and some masking tape to secure your photo or your image to some tracing paper or layout paper. And then you can start drawing. Now remember, we want to simplify all the elements of the original photograph you're drawing from. So it's not really tracing, it's simplifying. So we don't want too much detail, not too many creases. We certainly don't want any shade at this point. We're going to simplify the hair, we're going to simplify the facial features. And again, look at her work and look at how she draws lips and teeth and eyes. How much information does she carry over to the nose? It's not all of the lines. I noticed it was the nostrils and then lines to symbolise the bridge of the nose. With eyes, she likes putting eyelashes in, but again, no shading, no detail, nothing too complex. All about simplicity. She does add areas of highlight to the face where light hits. So with the hair, you'll notice on all of her illustration portraits, she divides them into sections. This is probably the most time-consuming part of your portrait. Now Beyonce, the celebrity used here, has got really curly hair in this image. So I've just divided the sections of her curls the best way I can. I've had to exaggerate in some instances, but certainly simplify in all instances. I think I'll speed the video up in a little while because I think you've got the gist by now. So when you've finished dividing the hair into sections and simplified the shoulders and the arms and the main facial features, you can now start to think about how she adds further division. So looking at her work here on the screen, Fiona Fernandes divides the eyebrows up, the lips up into smaller sections so you can add different colours. And as I mentioned before, she also adds areas of highlight using very slight change of tonal differences. You can see there I'm dividing the lips, all to give me smaller sections to add different colours in the style of the artist. I'm looking at where the light hits her face on the photo and how Fiona Fernandes shows those areas. So I'm just putting myself guides at this point. I do actually eventually rub those out, so I would put your areas of highlight in quite light, just to guide you where to keep those areas lighter. Looks a bit strange at this point, but I promise you it'll look fine at the end. Thinking about my background now. Now if you look over the examples on the PowerPoint on the board and on your examples on your desks, you'll see she does lots of weird and wonderful and different things to her backgrounds, and that's over to you. Entirely up to personal choice what you want to do. I've divided it up into swirl sections, so just lines, slightly curved swirled lines, and I'm going to hopefully add different colours to those. Just sped the video up a little bit to move things along. Okay, so once you're happy with that, something else that Fiona Fernandes tends to do in her work is add text. Not always, but because we want to spread positivity, it'd be quite nice somewhere to add either a sticker or a line of text. Now it's the fun bit. You can start adding your colours. Now I did contact the artist Fiona Fernandes to ask her for some advice for you guys, and her main snippets of advice were: keep your colour palette minimal, no more than 4 or 5 colours. So I've chosen 3 for the hair and the clothes and the text, and then I alternate with a different colour palette of 2 further colours for the background. I've tried to look at her work and replicate what she does. Got a rainbow effect in the hair and the eyebrows and the lips. We want to keep colours nice and bold in the style of the artist, so I thought felt tip would be a good choice for this. Because we want to contour the face and add highlights, I do switch to crayon for this. You can keep to felt tip, but I thought crayon gave me that option of different tones of the same colour by pressing lighter and harder. So we can see here I'm adding a medium tone brown to her skin, giving her a nice skin tone, and then I press a lot lighter in those highlighted areas. And then when I've done that, I rub out the pencil line. And you can start to hopefully see how it's coming together now in the style of the artist. But it still looks a little bit wishy-washy. You won't find that term in the dictionary, but you know what I mean. So here you can see I'm using a rubber to get rid of that harshness of that line between the light skin tone and the areas of highlight, and it just softens those areas, as you can see on the image. And then to get rid of that rubbed out line, because it's still quite harsh even as a rubbed out line, I'm going back in with the crayon just to blend that harsh line between the light tone and the darker tone. So your last thing to do that really brings this illustration to life is to go around every detail with fine liner, as in the style of the artist. Quite time consuming, but it's worth taking your time to get it precise. Lots of precision with a pen. Go around every feature, every eyelash. Don't go around the areas of highlight on the skin, because the artist doesn't do that, but she does tend to go around everything else. And I've sped the video up here, as you can see, and I'm sure you'll agree by the end of it, the portrait has really come to life in the style of the artist. Now remember, we're only working in the style of the artist, we're not copying her, we're just exploring her style of illustration, and hopefully you've really enjoyed that. And remember, the point of this was to spread positivity, to celebrate somebody in your lives who has brought positivity during the crazy times of COVID. And there we have it, finished.